Up From Work Podcast. My name's Dave Swillem. Let's get ready to hustle.
Hey, and welcome back to the Waking Up From Work Podcast. This is your host, Dave Swillem. This is where we get to work, making work a passion, living life full time. With that, living a creative life and doing what we want to do instead of what we have to do. It's not about not working. It's just about doing what you want to do for your living. So that's what we're about here. We interview recording artists, studio engineers, musicians, artists, photographers, videographers, small businesses, breweries. Other podcasters, content creators, we interview people that are doing what they want to do with the time that they've got here, and that goes all over the map. I am an audio engineer, and I'm working to do that full time, but the reason I don't niche it down to just that is because I just learned so damn much from all you people and all of this community. So I'm really lucky to have you guys. Thank you for everyone that is new to listening to this show. Maybe you hit January and you're doing some new goals, some new things, and you're like, hey, I'm going to start that thing, or I'm going to go after doing that thing full time. I'm going to switch this up and stop doing this job that I hate, or whatever it is. Maybe you've come here as a new guest to us. Thank you so much for giving us a try. Hope that you like this show and you stick around and hang with us on the different social channels and chat and tell me what you're up to. And absolutely thank you to everyone that stuck around with me. This is the third year in, like I said, and everyone who's been listening to the show, really appreciate you taking the time and that this is a part of your day. I've had some of you reach out to me and say, show me a picture of like the podcast that you listen to, and this was like in the top 3. I've had some of you reach out to me and tell me that listening to the show has helped you in some way to do something that you might not have. And all that really means the world to me. So if this is helping people at all, then I will continue to do this thing. And it surely helps me with meeting people and learning shit every day. So thank you guys so much. Kicking off the new year here. We're in 2021 now by the time you're listening to this episode, although it was tracked in 2020. And I wanted to shake it up quite a bit because this show, I have a lot of fun. There's always swearing and jokes, and I stay true to really who I am, I feel. But I wanted to really shake it up going into the new year while people are, doing these goals, setting up their year, trying to do things different. Like, I love all of that. I love that energy. The last episode was really about like holding accountability on yourself, and kind of talked about that a little bit. And I'm sure that I'll do some more solo episodes this month about some content on how to work on things like that so you can set yourself up for 21. But this episode right here is actually really the opposite of structure. It is a live snippet from a 24-hour live stream that I got to be on. So our guests today are the Plunge Podcast. And so this is a comedic-based podcast. They're absolutely crazy. If you listen to them, you should check them out if you want to laugh. And I actually went and did the Penguin Plunge with them last year down in Hampton, jumping into the ocean in like March or February or something to raise money for Special Olympics of New Hampshire. And that was my first time, and I had asked them to do that with them because I was looking to do that. And they were a group that I had met through Podcast NH or something like that for networking in New Hampshire with other podcasters. And I did that with them last year. This year I was fortunate enough that they invited me on to their 24-hour live stream. This is the second time they've done it, and they raised a ton of money. The second year in, raised a ton of money for Special Olympics of New Hampshire. So they invited me on to do a live podcast with them. We live streamed it to kick it off. And I got to play a live stream show with my band Broadwing too. So it was a really fun night. But that being said, I did this podcast episode with the boys from The Plunge, and we talk about raising money for charities because they've got a comedic show. It's very inappropriate, which I think is hilarious. And it's not necessarily something that you would anticipate would be raising this amount of money for charity. But from the start, they talk about how they have never wanted to make money from the show, but always wanted to generate money from it. And reason being is to go towards some type of charity like that. And I think it's, I've got mad respect for them. They're able to do a lot with not too much. They just work their ass off and have gotten creative and come up with these crazy things to encourage people and get people engaged. And it's been really cool getting to know these guys, and I'm really looking forward to continuing this on with them. And I'll be doing the Plunge again with them in March or February again this year, raising some more money past this to Special Olympics of New Hampshire. So check out this episode. It's live, so the audio is not perfect, although I did work on it. The audio is not perfect. There's a bunch of swearing, a bunch of inappropriateness. It's very comedic, and it's very different from a lot of the episodes that I do. But that is why I wanted to get it to you, because it's so candid, it's so off the cuff, and it's just shit that's going down. And I figured that would be a great way from such a serious, dramatic year of 2020, although we're still in those times now in 21, I wanted to kick it off with just a new, fresh way of having this content come out. So this one is a really non-traditional episode, but I think it's worth a listen. Check it out. Hey, and welcome back to the Waking Up From Work podcast. You're listening to episode 90 tonight. Ooh! Tonight is a special one because we are here on the Plunging for a Cause 24-hour live stream number 2, right?
Yeah.
Goes?
Second annual.
Biannual now.
Second annual one. And we are lucky enough to be a part of this thing for their 24 hours of straight live streaming. And I'm at the front end of this, so like I have the luxury of being like super energetic and super chill and like knowing that I get to get in my car and drive away. But these boys are going to be putting in some work in podcasting and putting content out for 24 hours here to support Special Olympics of New Hampshire.
If you'd like for me to defeat Hunter real quick,
please just fucking give me like 10 minutes of not hearing about your fucking couch.
It's not that
Okay.
We have 21 and a half hours left.
I don't care about that.
Okay.
I know it's gonna come up. Look,
Wow. Wow.
you know what I have to say to that? Get on mic real quick.
Okay, I can grab the mic.
I don't. The fact it's the principle that Riley paid for a couch, and he claims that it's a free couch.
I'm totally with him on the free.
I'm not going to bring it up because this isn't my show, but I thought he baited me. He baited me with the comment, and I don't appreciate it.
So, Dave, thank you for joining us. You are also have the perk of you get to deal with us before the overnight shift.
Right.
So
It's going to be rough tomorrow.
You're actually getting the best out of us as well, which a lot of shows won't
I
have,
appreciate that.
have the perk of.
I really appreciate that.
You were the first person on our list when we were talking about wanting to expand this. Last year we did this in our basement, my like 12 by 12 foot room. It's like
the love dungeon, as we called it.
Red carpeted.
I
Like
kind of would have preferred that, dude.
It was. I will say,
This is a nice place.
it was very intimate.
Was it?
there
It
was charm
was.
to it. We had no equipment to like properly do it, so our video like cut out every like 5 seconds, like with like glitch things across the screen because it wasn't meant for that. Like the camera using was not meant to be running like that. It was a DSLR camera, so we had to take it off, and then it would be overheating every 2
my
hours.
God.
So we'd have to swap out the batteries and then like put it next to a window that had a bunch of snow in it to cool it down. And we were just popping it in and out every 2
Very
hours.
punk, Riley. Very
Yeah.
punk.
And now we wanted to take it bigger and better, and we've thought none other than you to not only bring Waking Up From Work here, but also
My heart, dude.
Yeah.
My heart.
but also to bring Broadwing, get some live music in here. And we're very grateful for you for coming out. You did the Penguin Plunge with us last year, so this event
Hell
all
yeah.
goes to the grand, scheme of fundraising money for the Special Olympics. And last year, you came up to us. You're like, "Hey, can I do that with you guys?" We're like, "Yeah, dude. Can we swear on this?"
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you're like, "Fuck yeah, dude! Like, come on in,
Please.
And
I gotta say, I have to thank you because you have. So after I know we all jumped in at the same time. You and me jumped into the water very close together at the actual Penguin Plunge event.
Yeah.
You saw me do a flip into the water, Riley and Dave did not. And you got like a very brief, like you get the very front of you seeing me like start to tuck.
It was sick, dude.
It was funny. And I remember I told Riley and Dave that, and they're like, "You did? I didn't see it." And then you sent us the video, and Riley, I remember he texted me in all caps, and he was like, "Yo, I got footage of it." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, right as Dave goes into the water, he got a little bit of you tucking into the flip. And that made me laugh because the old saying, "Picks or it didn't happen," you came in clutch with picks.
I did that for you, dude. I did that for you.
I appreciate it.
I don't know. There was another clip that I didn't know existed till shout out to Kaz. Kaz made us the video we used to kind of intro everything between our breaks.
Sick.
There's a video of us all running out of the water, like soaking wet and like sprinting up, and like I didn't know that video existed. So I saw it for the first time watching the thing. I was like, where'd he get that? So I don't know where he even got that, but you just see Hunter shivering out in his Speedo, like his.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
So for the second year, though, you are joining us again.
I am.
You were doing
excited.
the Penguin Plunge with us again. We can't wait. We're trying to grow our team this year. So last year we fundraised about $1,500. We were able to.
Cheers.
What did I do?
man.
We were able to make it.
Does it show our team?
Yep, our team.
I didn't do any of that paperwork yet.
Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry. So last year we were able to bring about a team of 5. We raised $1,500, and we now just got our updated numbers. We've already now fundraised $3,300.
You guys
Like
are fucking
a
awesome
third,
out there.
a third
Thank
of
you.
10 grand,
Unreal, dude.
which is unreal. So thank you to everybody who's donated
At 21 hours, man.
at 21 hours.
Let's
So
go.
shout out to everybody who's donated. We're trying to hit that goal. We're getting close to halfway there, which is freaky. I didn't think we'd. You guys just keep shattering stuff for us. We don't know how we're going to keep it up, but we've already shattered last year. We've already more than doubled last year. So
Cheers to that, man.
Seriously.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
But what do you got for us today, Dave?
Honestly, I have 2 different things, but like you kicked off that note. So for people out there who haven't checked out the Waking Up From Work podcast, just so you know what we're about, we are about getting to work, making a work a passion. And I know that that's kind of a corny line, but what it really means is just that we are about living creative full time, doing what you want to do, not what you have to do. Right. So we interview musicians, artists, podcasters, content creators, entrepreneurs, small business, all sorts of things that we want to figure out some of the behind the scenes. And so I say all of that just because a lot of this live stream is going to be funny as fuck, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because I already felt like I watched the Discovery Channel on vaginas. And I got a great lesson, dude, from a
Literally.
I'll be there, man. I'll pretend like I know what's happening. I'll sit there and be like, come on. I know.
Hey, man, if you ever feel like you don't know something, just remember, I don't know anything, and I'm in pharmacy school, and they're talking about stuff up there, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, my friend and I will leave the lecture. You go, you have any idea what they're talking about?
No.
I'm like, oh, no,
No.
not a clue. Not a clue. I was on Reddit. I was watching videos on Hold My Feeding Tube. People were getting hurt. I learned nothing today.
Absolutely not.
But
But on that, basically what I'm saying about that is that a lot of this 24-hour live stream is going to be very, very funny because we've got a lot of comedic podcasts. And I joke around. I always have a drink when I'm having my podcast.
Yeah.
Like I have a good time. I want it to be like bar talks. But like there are some things that I want to definitely dive into on this episode. I promise we're still going to have a lot of fun, but there's stuff that I want, like some of the story behind it from you guys.
Yeah, man.
And we just talked about the charity stuff, right?
yeah.
This is the second time you guys have done it and you're totally killing it. Where did all the ideas for any of this even come from to, like, this is not a small amount of money that you guys are raising with something that you love doing, that you were doing anyway. And it's such an awesome thing to be able to take something where your podcast is great and you have a lot of people that watch it, right? But you're not Joe Rogan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not like this ridiculous thing,
Yeah.
but you're able to take something that you have and generate a ton of stuff for charity. And it's something that a lot of people, I think, doing something like this don't think to do. Where did the idea to come up with this come from, and how did this even happen?
I think it was actually at this exact desk, like in this same position that we're sitting in. So you and I met at, did we meet at the live show or at the Podcast New Hampshire meetup?
We met at Podcast New Hampshire.
Yeah, so we met at a Podcast New Hampshire meetup, and
Wait, now I don't know, because I went and saw when Meter got.
What was first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, I saw you guys at what is it,
Yeah.
Phillies in Rochester. I saw you at that
Yes.
club.
I want to say that was the live. No,
No, it
because
was
the live
before
show was
that.
for the live show we did was to support
So
last year's stream.
Okay.
Proceeds towards Special Olympics New Hampshire.
No,
So we
so-
met you at the Podcast New Hampshire meetup. Go ahead, Hunt.
I don't have a lot of like exposure to the podcast community because I'm not currently living in New Hampshire. So I have a little bit better of a picture. I know it was the podcast meetup, but it wasn't exactly the podcast meetup. I think Riley had mentioned that you do like fundraising and stuff for Special Olympics New Hampshire.
So it came from a conversation with Meter. So you know Meter, he's like the captain of Podcast New Hampshire.
Yeah.
He's also
Man.
doing the diving with us.
Unbelievable.
Hard
He's a good
worker,
dude.
dude. That guy works harder
He's
than
such a
anyone.
good human being, dude.
And he does a 24-hour Extra Life stream every year, where he just plays video games nonstop for 24 hours on stream. And me and Hunter grew up watching Rooster Teeth, and every year they do a 24-hour thing for
It's Extra Life. It's
Extra Life. So it goes to children's hospitals, and they're in Austin where they're at.
pretty much for that one. I think it donates a lot of like games, card games, toys, video game consoles, and things to make like, I want to say like terminally ill kids have things that they can do and enjoy while they're stuck in the hospital getting treatment.
Sure.
And I think it stemmed from Riley meeting you, and the goal of the Plunge was never to make money off of it.
Right.
And that was kind of the idea that he came up with for the bin is what we called it, where it started with, if we did like, we made rules for each other, rules for the show. So like saying the C word, I'm not going to say, that's $1 to the bin. So if you say that, you forfeit money for like making a time joke. And at the end of the year, we're planning on donating it to somewhere. And I think that was in place before the New Hampshire meetup.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after talking to both you and Meter, he had the idea of doing the 24-hour live stream to continue to raise money and add on to what we had accumulated from the year.
Word.
And because I think you like the idea of Special Olympics New Hampshire better.
So if you didn't know, the event we're doing is called The Plunge.
Right.
So we were like, I mean, we got to.
Sold, dude.
Yeah, like we have
Sold.
to. So like, because me and Hunter, we wanted to do something like the company that we had watched forever. They do like, it's on camera. It's like they bring in different groups of people. This is more what bringing to life what we wanted to do this year is bring in different shows and different kind of groups and acts of like within our world and having them kind of display their stuff, but also being on for all of it and raising money. We figured instead of Extra Life like they do, we wanted to do for the Special Olympics New Hampshire, do the Plunge.
I think at the time he had said that he wanted it to be more local so that we could have a positive impact in
On
the
your
community around us and
Cool.
just in general, something more local. But yeah, I think that in a more summed up way is kind of the origin of why we started to want to raise money. And then just the application of putting those different things in place to kind of kickstart some of the money. So before the stream, we didn't kind of turn up empty handed because we didn't know how well the people were going to support Special Olympics New Hampshire
Right.
last year.
Right.
And again, this year, they're already blowing it out of the water.
I mean, we're literally married because of these people.
Yeah.
Me and Hunter got married at the end of last year's stream.
So
Cool.
right on stream, right there, there's a TV that's kind of flicking through some of the photos. Like
So
that's
Dave, that is the last moment of last year's stream. That is the room we did it in. That tiny room. And where the camera was there, that's the other end of the room. Like
Yeah.
that.
And there, so I'm not gonna make us look through this entire thing, but there's actually the ultimate goal is if we raised enough money, me and Riley would get married and kiss.
Which we did not think was even.
We did not.
So we thought we were gonna raise like $100, $200, $300 maybe.
Like
and-
outside of what we had already raised before.
Yeah. And in the first like 4 hours. We were up to like $900.
Oh.
And so me and Hunter, before we were leading up to the podcast, we were like, yeah, you guys do. This is us thinking like we'll get $200. We're like, yeah, you guys raise $1,500. We'll get married at the end. And they were not playing around.
You're just like making stuff.
Yeah, we were making. Yeah.
So
Even us making it, we're donating.
Oh, man.
I got to tell you, some of the forfeits for last year, I'm so glad we didn't put in place because
We do still have to get
there
tattoos.
it was like $17.50 or something, like not that much more than we made during the live stream. One of the forfeits was after we got married, we would submit it to the state. And if we made like a little bit more in donations, me and him would have had to fuck up our taxes for like 3 years.
Yeah, but like we made it so we made it so we could legal. Like we got an ordained minister. Like
Wow.
it was the thing.
Sending it, dude.
And to top it all off, at $600, we told them we would peanut butter baby Hunter,
Yeah.
which means we coated him head to toe in creamy peanut butter.
A lookout, because the picture
And
that I'm
then-
talking about is
And then we had our wedding while he was covered head to toe in peanut
so
butter.
there's a still frame up
Wow.
there that says "Happy Anniversary,
Taylor,
Riley and
Can you
Hunter,"
grab me the
and
stickers of
it's
peanut
I
butter
still
Hunter?
am covered in peanut butter.
How long
and-
did that take?
To get off or to get on?
Both?
Honestly,
Getting on probably like 15 minutes.
Getting it off involved
Hours.
Hunter and Riley's roommate at the time, who Hunter had never met.
also,
He had to take the peanut butter off with a broom,
Give it to
like
them.
an old broom.
and let me tell you,
Scraped him in the shower.
so no one told me it was gonna be Riley's roommate. What they told me before before I got in the shower, someone told us that a friend of the podcast, our friend Jake, was gonna come by for the end of the show. He didn't end up coming, so they just was like, someone needs to fucking go broom this kid off so that he can be here for
So
the
we can
closing
get back.
ceremony.
Yeah.
And
Holy shit.
so the door opens, and me and Jake have known each other since 6th grade. I was a first year in pharmacy school, so this is like, it would have been like 10 years of knowing this kid. He's seen me naked.
You're already there.
I like to mess with him, like when I'm getting naked, like showing him my stuff. And he walks in, and in my head, I go, "It's time to fuck with Jake." So I'm like shaking my junk back and forth, and then Riley's roommate like whips open the curtain, and I was like, "Oh, you're not Jake," and he goes, "You're naked," and I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "All right,
Yep.
turn around." And he just started brushing it off of me.
Oh my God. We okay?
Yeah. I'm hearing echo. I don't know where from.
It's computer.
Oh, that's Mikey's. Okay. Yeah, we're good.
We're all good in tech?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So there was already an idea essentially before you got into like the logistics of everything. You guys, when you started the podcast, you're like, "Hey, we're going to do something that we are going to donate something at the end of the year for something. And then this
After-
all shifted and started happening from just talking to people and then like kind of being like, okay, where do we want it to go? How are we going to do it?
Exactly.
And then now it happened. And now this is very legit this year. And I'm sure you guys are just going to keep
This is
Growing.
genuinely probably one of the highlights of the year. Like, obviously, for me, it's like finishing school for the year. Great. Finish another year down. Seeing family on the few times that I get to go home. And then the other one is literally just coming to Manchester, or I guess we're in Londonderry for this one. But coming home.
same thing. Kind of.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
they're in the nutsack of cities in southern New Hampshire.
The crest.
But coming home and being able, like having the opportunity, being blessed enough to be able to like go and try to raise money for someone to like participate in something as awesome as a Special Olympics New
Yeah.
Hampshire.
Yeah, it's huge, dude.
Yeah.
People out there who haven't had any contact with Special Olympics of New Hampshire, just so you're aware, it's if you had no contact or not at all, so you just have no idea what they do. It's not just like obviously like the full athletes who are doing like very intense stuff. It literally is as simple as like my brother has Down syndrome. I'm wearing my extra homie with an extra chromie shirt right now, right?
Awesome.
And he means the world to me. We did an episode where my sister wrote a book on like Down syndrome and dance and like all this stuff. Like it's a big part in my family. I've got him tattooed on me and a Down syndrome flag. Big part for our family, huge.
Yeah.
And he's not doing anything crazy, but the Special Olympics of New Hampshire had these programs that were helping people get active, and he's not a big runner at all. He just really can't run well. And just having a program where he could be active and have people encourage him to be active helped him a ton, because sometimes he doesn't get out of the house as much as we want him to. And that gave him another thing to get out of the house, get active, and a space to be at. So they do a ridiculous amount of work for people who need help and they need stuff to do, especially when we're talking COVID times right now. There's a million people that need help, but I will tell you that some of them, my brother included, don't understand sometimes what all of this means. It's hard to comprehend even for us. Some people don't understand what it means and why it's a problem to not hang with people. And so programs like what they do, and I'll get off my soapbox in a second, but programs like
keep going. That's literally the whole point
it
of
got them out of the house. It gets them doing shit. It's important. So your donations are going to a really good place if you don't do anything with that org yet. But
that actually made the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Really?
Like that's I didn't know that.
And I can see it. Yeah. So
what, the hair?
Yeah,
Can
he's got
you
a gross
fucking not for like 5 seconds?
There's like a secondary camera that's like
It's called neck hair cam.
it's
Just talking about that made me think of how crazy it is that the name of the podcast was The Plunge. And
It's literally perfect.
And we never
Way
really
before.
thought of, Special Olympics of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
The event that is, the Penguin Plunge. And it was one of those
It was
things.
meant to be, man.
Meant to
It
be, exactly.
literally
One of those things.
came together with like the reason that they came up with the podcast was they wanted to basically capture us growing up. Like whoever was on the podcast, I think at the time I wasn't included because like obviously all these guys are a year older than me, but I ended up being a part of it. But at their lunch table in high school, they're like, yeah, let's do a podcast. And the name was decided back in 2014?
2015, 16. Yeah.
Wow.
It was one of the first things we thought of too.
And
We were just like, what sounds good?
Something about diving in. We just loved the idea of just
Let's just dive into this podcasting world. Let's
Something
dive
about
into
depth.
this.
We were just
it
like,
literally
let's
is
go.
like a fucking rom-com plot.
Kind of
like,
fits the 24 hour. You just have to dive in and fill 24 hours.
Gotta get in there.
content, you just got to dive right in, get in there.
yeah. So
But yeah, I mean, it's good to know where all the proceeds are going and all that, because
Yeah.
we haven't had a chance to get to. We were going to volunteer at the games, obviously, and then COVID kind of shut that down, so we don't get to see firsthand yet, kind of where everything's going. So it's good to get that insight of like what we're doing actually helping and
A lot.
where it can go.
It means a lot, man. It means a lot.
it means a lot to us too that you're coming on and kind of like obviously more than the average person. I think we know a little bit of what goes on, but the fact that like you said your brother has Down syndrome and I'm guessing a more regular basis you're interacting with representatives and active I don't know if it's workers, volunteers for the program, but you're interacting with them on a more frequent basis, so you have a better understanding.
Yep.
So I think it's a good opportunity for us to learn more about it and the people who are donating, seeing what is coming of their donations.
Huge, man. My parents, he lives with my parents, and they moved up really far north in New Hampshire.
Yep.
And there's less stuff to do close to them. So it's something that there's been a lot of obviously virtual things that have been keeping him doing tons and tons of shit. It's been very good for him. So
Awesome, dude.
yeah,
That's
you guys matter out there, what you're donating to.
awesome.
So we get the kind of the story of how this happened, and you guys have already done a ton of growth in it from one year to the other. What would you say out there to other people that are maybe they're podcasters, content creators, musicians, they do whatever, they have a small little business.
Yeah.
What would you say to them as advice if they wanted to start doing some charity work? Because it's been 2 years, guys, and you guys have raised already a ton of money. And I think that there's a lot of ways that you can give, right? In small ways. So like you don't have to do things like a 24-hour podcast.
You could maybe 48, you know,
the 25-hour one. You guys are legit packing up here. They're like, oh, are they out? Oh, word. Okay, we're the 25 one, and then. But like, what would you give to advice to people that want to do things like this to have an impact from maybe something that they do on a larger scale if they don't know how to do any of these things? Like, what's your advice going through figuring this shit out?
I think it's just about like doing it. Like if you have a podcast, you want to do something like this, do it. Like it's about everything in life. Like it's not gonna happen unless you go and actually put your mind to it. We were talking about how our podcast was formed in high school. We didn't debut until I was a junior in college. Like,
I get it, man.
You got to go out and actually do it. So if you want to do it, go do it. Like you might have year one. People might donate $5. Cool. That's $5 more than whatever you're fundraising for had before.
Yep.
It might be a success. Like you might have like us where it worked and now you can kind of build on that, but you can't build on something if the first step isn't there. So I think it's important to just go out and do it. Like if you have an idea, put it into motion.
Cool.
Yeah, that mentality you two share is really how this has been pulled off. Without you two, obviously this wouldn't.
I'd honestly
be what it is.
I wouldn't say that I take any credit because Riley puts in all the groundwork. I just
it's a
show
lot
up.
of effort.
Yeah,
but
podcasting is a lot of effort.
I think the other
It's
component,
a thankless game.
and you are the best at it. So you know what I'm saying? Like you put in so much work.
Thanks. I think the other component to it has to be like if you don't have the monetary assets, let's say, even just starting the conversation and getting word out, doesn't matter if one person hears it or 10 people hear it. If somebody hears about it and they are just as passionate as you are, who knows what'll happen? It's like a domino effect. You might affect one person, they affect one person, and then it starts to grow exponentially. And then more traction starts to grow for whatever it is you want to do. It doesn't have to be charity. It could be anything in life. It's just starting the conversation.
You have to take an action, man.
Yeah.
And you have to see how it plays out, and you'll get better because you guys probably learned a ton of shit from your first 24-hour live stream.
Yeah,
and you came back, and you guys put so much more into this one. It's crazy.
Yeah, the biggest thing I learned last year is don't eat hot chip.
Don't eat.
Really?
Yeah, that sucked.
So have you ever heard of the one chip challenge?
No.
So it's a chip that's like,
Let me look up
I don't know how many million Scoville.
I want to say it's like 4.5.
Oh, I got it.
Another thing you learn is to get a camera that you don't have to choose.
Yeah, that too.
That sounds
That's
bad.
called. Oh, it was. You just
Dude, that sounds
hours.
That sounds stressful.
Yeah, it was. Riley directed the whole thing. If it wasn't for him, we probably would forget it and probably still do like 2 hours of content without the camera rolling.
Oh,
But we did it. We pulled it off, and it was fantastic. I was there the whole 24 hours. I took a nap when you guys
took
were
a
playing
nap.
video
I came up
games.
and took a nap
You
with
guys
you when
were-
I was at a commission.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. I laid down.
You were
So-
with me when I napped.
You were
I'm like,
asleep,
you were
and
with
then
me
I
on the
sat down.
couch?
I sat down next to you, and then
You're
took a nap.
joking.
I'm not. You were out, and football was on, and then I went upstairs because I was looking pale as shit because I'm pretty sure it burned a little hole in my stomach.
1,565,300 Scoville.
That's hot. You know how much a regular jalapeno is?
no.
Like 3,000.
I don't even know how you did that.
Dude, I mean, if I don't know if there's any footage. I did that like 10 a.m. day 2 and we were still going to 7. There was a good 6-hour span where I just had zero life.
I remember that.
Yeah.
There was this other kid. Was it Brad who came in?
Yeah,
and
Brad.
was joining the podcast, and he was like, "I'll try the chip." He tried a piece of the chip just on a whim.
We didn't tell him it was the hottest chip in the world.
He also
went right through it. He's like, whoa, that was fucking okay.
No, he was not. But he jumped into it.
the thing
No
is though,
problem. He was all about it.
that man was started like chewing it slowly, and then he saw my eyes widen. I was like, "You're gonna want you a little
We
bit
all
faster,
looked at him
brother."
and were like, bro, you got to chew. Like, you got to get going, man.
You're in a dangerous spot.
Yeah,
right
and then
now.
he was like, wait, why? Why am I
know
chewing?
that?
We're like, you got to swallow, bro. And then,
problem, man. You got to get out of here.
but it took Hunter out of commission for like 4 or 5 hours. Like,
There was a time where I was on a date and I was in some
Nice.
restaurant and they gave me, I don't know why this person wanted to fuck with me. It was the restaurant that did it. I don't know why they wanted to do this to me, but they brought me like a little tiny pepper. And they're like, "Oh, sir, have this thing."
Yeah, it's a peppercini,
like,
here.
What is this? Dude, it's very small.
Yeah.
And they said it's hot. Like it's hot. And I was like, oh,
sick.
Great.
It's not about the size of the ship. It's about the motion in the ocean.
Dude, it was a very early date, and I cried the entire meal. And it was the beginning of the meal. I just sat there and cried. My nose just let out, and I was crying, and I'm just sitting there like eating Thai food, crying and blowing boogers like into my food. Like, what the hell is this dude? This is bullshit.
So I got a question for you now.
Okay.
Did it even taste good? The pepper?
No.
The chip also didn't taste good.
No.
It tasted like somebody like took a shit and it was really hot.
Yeah.
And then they baked it in hell and then they refried it onto the chip and then they burnt it again.
Very visual.
It tasted gross. It hurt me, and I didn't appreciate it.
There's exactly 0 reasons why I am happy that this happened.
There's exactly 0. I don't know. So I didn't know I was doing this until about a week before, and I still think I got scammed. It was worth it, but walking in and Riley going like,
scammed.
"Yo, you're doing this," and I'm like, "No, hot food hurts," and he goes, "You'll be fine." 6 hours later, I was like,
I want to die.
Actually, I probably said that
I want to die.
10
You are
literal
not
10
doing well.
Oh my God.
You were not doing well at all. Dave, thank you for coming out, brother. Thank you for performing.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, man. One last thing, dude. One last thing. I want to go on air and just say that couch was free. All right?
Yeah!
It's free.
Yes! We got another free couch member.
It's free.
This is now a Plunge episode. Get the fuck.